Hello again, this is Rodolfo Eric Angat, your teacher in Earth and Environmental Science. Today we'll be discovering about human activities. As you can see in the picture, there are different human activities that impact our ecosystem. Most of this we have already discussed them in detail, but today we'll be reviewing them even more. The first one is deforestation. Deforestation is the permanent removal of trees to make room for something else, usually for agriculture or for building new communities. Now, the clearing of land affects our ecosystem greatly, as you can see in the pictures here. The next one is overgrazing. Overgrazing, as we can see here, is the excessive grazing which causes damage to the grasslands. What are the effects of overgrazing? It reduces the usefulness, productivity, and biodiversity of the land and is one cause of desertification. So when you say desertification, the land loses its nutrients, especially its topsoil, and this leads to the drying of the land, which converts the land into like a desert. And when it becomes a desert, it becomes unusable. Overgrazing is also seen as a cause of the spread of invasive species or non-native plants and weeds. We'll be discussing more about invasive species in the coming days. Now, the next one, we have urbanization. So we have urbanization here. The pictures here shows us the appearance of urbanization. So what is urbanization? Urbanization simply is the process of making an area more urban. So let's have a deeper meaning than that. Urbanization is the increase in the proportion of people living in towns and cities. Urbanization occurs because people move to rural areas or people move from rural areas, which is the countryside, to urban areas, which are the towns and cities. So to describe an urbanized area, we can say that the population density is very high because there are so many people in an area that is highly urbanized. An example of a highly urbanized area is New York. There are so many people in that area. So it's highly urbanized. And again, to give you more idea of what urbanization is, just look at these pictures. A lot of traffic, a lot of lights. Of course, if there are good things in urbanization, there are also the bad things in urbanization. Okay? So you'll be learning more about urbanization as we progress. Next one, we have mining. So this pictures here shows us the different forms of mining, and mining is essential so that we can have the raw materials for the things that we use on a day-to-day basis. Mining is also needed so that we can have the fossil fuel that can be used to provide us electricity and fuel for our machineries. Okay, let's now go to the next one. After mining, we have population increase. Let's go to this United Nations website and you will see here that our population is rapidly increasing. Okay, so we'll go to the summary. The world's population is expected to increase by 2 billion persons in the next 30 years from 7.7 billion currently to 9.7 billion in 2050 and could peak at nearly 11 billion around 2100. Just kind of imagine, where do we get all the resources? Where do we get all the food to feed the growing population of human beings. As of now, according to the United Nations, China and India are the most populated countries. Okay. So let's go to the other human activities. After that, we have pollution. Now, this picture shows us a lot about pollution, but let's focus on this one. How do we produce those pollutions? So these are some of the things that we need to consider. I'll make it bigger so that you will see them better. Okay, from vehicles, we produce carbon monoxide. From power plants, we produce sulfur dioxide. Of course, this does not include the nuclear power plants because nuclear power plants do not release greenhouse gases because they don't burn fossil fuel. Instead, they utilize the process of nuclear fission, which only release water vapor or steam in the process of using the uh, heat produced in the nuclear fission and then using this to power the turbine by boiling the water into steam. So there's no combustion in nuclear power plants. That is why nuclear power plants do not produce sulfur dioxide or any other greenhouse gases. Some people consider the nuclear power plants are environmental friendly because of the sense that they only release steam. Again, they only release steam because there's no combustion there. The process utilized in nuclear power plants is nuclear fission. Of course, the danger of nuclear power plants is that if there's a meltdown or there's an accident, the radiation from the fuel called uranium can render the place uninhabitable for thousands of years. Now, we also have household fires, which can release other gases such as nitric oxide and even ozone. Ammonia from factories, from burning crop, nitrogen dioxide can be released from municipal waste, volatile organic compounds like we call them VOC, and for mining and other construction activities, particulate matters can be added into the atmosphere. So all of these pollutants affect our ecosystem, affect our planet, and also affect our health. Okay. Now, we also have the effect of air pollution to our climate. So global warming is causing the planet to become warmer, and this leads to the melting of the polar ice caps, and this melting of the polar ice caps leads to more fresh water added to the ocean, which alters the ocean currents, and this leads to global climate change. We'll be learning more about that in the next quarter. Okay. Now, what can we do to protect our biodiversity? So, first, what do we mean by biodiversity? What is biodiversity? So, biodiversity refers to the variety of life in the world or in particular habitat or ecosystem. So, in simple words, biodiversity is the shortened form of two words, biological and diversity. It refers to all the variety of life that can be found on Earth, plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms, as well as to the communities that they form and the habitats that they live. We need biodiversity. You might be asking, so why do we need all of this when our food source is only limited to a few species? You have to look at the bigger picture. If we only have a few species on Earth and a certain disease comes, then all of the species can easily be wiped out. But with biodiversity, there is more, or there's a higher probability that the disease will not wipe out all the organisms on Earth, because other species might provide cure for the disease. That is one of the importance of biodiversity. Biodiversity also provides stability to the ecosystem by providing alternative food source to each living organism. There are so many benefits from having a high biodiversity, and hopefully in our future discussions we'll be learning more about them. Okay? So for now, let's remember, we are we we as human beings need to maintain our connection with the biodiversity. We need to do our role to protect the only planet, the only home that we have, which is Earth. Okay, thank you so much, guys, and see you again next time. Bye bye.